So, Jack, I'll start with you. Your character really takes a lot of beating, and I wanted to ask you about the physicality of, did you have a lot of bruises? I mean, obviously it's staged, but it and the jumping off the trucks and everything. It just seemed like such a physically challenging role.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I suppose he's a tough man, Paddy Mayne. Much tougher than I, much taller than I. Um, so yeah, I kind of did have to punch above my weight a little bit a few times. Um, yeah, I mean, listen, I never found any stunt like too sort of death defying. There was an idea early on for the parachuting to hoist us up. I want to say 50 something feet in the air in an old shipping crate.
Yeah.
This our stunt coordinator had this idea. Does 50 feet sound about right, Alfie?
I skived off that day.
Oh my gosh. I don't blame you.
He wanted
I remember though it was all down in oh god, where was that place? It was all down in the Cotswolds. I think you were shooting that stuff, right? In the quarry.
White Waltham,
Yeah,
some
yeah, that was
airfield.
it.
He
Yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to get a
yeah.
crane, hoist up this shipping container, dead high, basically, seriously high, and we were all going to basically bungee out of this shipping container attached to a crane. But none of us, because obviously we were all asked, none of us wanted to do it, but none of
Yeah.
us wanted to say no at the same time. So we all
Should
peer
call in
pressured
sick that
ourselves
day.
into, yeah, yeah, yeah. So we all volunteered ourselves up. Thankfully, it
Yeah.
never happened because not a part of me wanted to do that, but I would have had to just because of the peer pressure and to not lose face. That would have been wild. Um,
Well, I love the
but
camaraderie that really, it comes through in the series. And Alfie, if you could tell me about some of the challenges of filming together as a group, if you had any like fun moments, funny moments that happened while filming,
I
with that.
mean, to sort of sound schmoozy about it, it was really for me, when we got out to Morocco and we started to feel as a military division, in terms of men and strength in numbers, and it wasn't just
Yeah.
men. We had Isabel Lager out there who played Miriam
Mhm.
Barford, and another lady who was a COVID lady, who was lovely, and she ended up being in the show actually.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was just great. We kind of had a week of hard isolation and 2 weeks of kind of soft isolation. And we would all just come around. We had like one swimming pool that would kind of join all the rooms. All the rooms were looking out onto, and many games of basically playing football but in the water with a football. We were very bored at times out there, so we just invented games all the time to play. And so
water polo was massive.
yeah, water
Yeah.
polo was
It was a
massive. Water polo
huge,
was
huge
massive.
part of the day. Like, yeah, yeah. The
Yeah,
day
and
kind of centered around water polo,
it
right?
really did. It really did.
That's
It
nice
was.
work.
Yeah, it was. A lot of that. We weren't really encouraged to do that kind of stuff in the UK because of COVID, and so when we were
Gotcha.
finally allowed to kind of all join up and start, playing water polo together and sort of really start to get to know each other, that's when all the fun stories started to happen. Some of them I probably can't repeat, but
Sure.
it was fun had by all, definitely.
And Alfie, did you have to do any military training or meet with any troops in order to better prepare yourself for the role?
Yeah, I mean, we spoke to some real current SAS guys when we
Mm.
first started in a kind of, albeit an office kind of atmosphere, in this kind of production office that was set up just outside of London. And so that was very interesting. We got given these kind of logistical army exercises where they would just kind of give us a situation, and then you kind of half figure it out, and then halfway into it they go, okay, now the situation's totally changed. What do you do now? One of your soldiers has
Gotcha.
been bitten by a snake, so you've got to go to rendezvous to a Medicare center this far off, going at this speed, and so all of that definitely kind of jolted you into that sense of being a real soldier. But then, you know, also being out there in Morocco in the conditions that we were in, it was kind of a forced type of method acting, you know, because it was the environment that those real men would have been, or at least to some extent, we got a small taste of what they were going through.
Yeah.
So in terms of that, and then doing the drills every morning, for the beginning of it, they soon faded off. But it was great. It was just a once in a lifetime opportunity.
And how much historical research did you do for your character?
Growing up in England, we kind of learned about the Second World War as part of our kind of, curriculum anyway at school. The North African campaign, I didn't really know much about. These three men, I didn't know much about in terms of forming the SAS, Jock Lewis, then Sterling Paddy Mayne. So for me, I kind of found these books of published love letters between Jock, specifically for Jock, not the kind of history of the SAS, but for Jock, that was really informative to me.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these hyper-masculine military figures can kind of, be romanticized somewhat over the years. So I would say that really kind of gave me, an into his head,
Oh, sure.
his mind, without a doubt. So I definitely read, the Ben McIntyre book, SES Rogue Heroes, which is what it's based
Yeah.
on. And that was super, super helpful. And then I read some stuff of the Jock Lewis autobiographies. But he was a very interesting man, and quite an aloof man, but one that was sort of respected by his soldiers, but maybe not quite understood.
Yeah, and is there one inspiring moment that stands out for you? I have to wrap up, but if you want to mention something that you both find inspiring about your characters.
There's a story about him being in the Robo Club at his college, at his university. It's not, for me, I just think it's kind of endearing for him as a man, and also kind of shows his kind of ability in a military sense to go, he didn't feel that he was, even though he was a keen rower and an exhibitionist of sorts, but he didn't really feel that he was the best man for the job, so he took himself out of the team and put somebody else in, even though he was the captain. So I think that can be the sign of a leader, definitely.
And Jack, what about you?
I think for me, with Paddy, he seems to be quite a solitary character. Quite happy to kind of tuck himself away from everyone and crack on, read a bit of poetry. But he has this friendship with Owen McGonagall, and that it just seemed like there was like this one kind of this one friendship that he truly had, and that for someone who can seem quite a lone wolf type figure, and obviously we would portray it in the series. That dynamic was very, very interesting to me.
Yeah, that's very cool.